Hey sweet friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are using Mod Podge alongside other Dollar Tree pieces that you can put together and make some really fun projects. Please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and let's get on into it. Whenever I think about using Mod Podge, the first thing I go to is tissue paper, just because like decoupaging like napkins or tissue paper onto projects is super common and popular. A lot of people love to do that. So this is no different. I love this little plant print. I think it's absolutely gorgeous with all of these leaves on there. It looks very like boho, but very kind of neutral, and you could go with any style. So for this, I'm using two different sizes of these little hurricane lantern candle holders from the Dollar Tree, and I cut one down to size, and then for the taller one I wanted it to be about an inch taller, so I do go ahead and lay that down and make sure that it's a little bit bigger, and then using my Mod Podge just to adhere this directly to the candle holder. Now for this project, I actually want to pair it with some of Dollar Tree's floating candles. Believe it or not, I don't think I've ever used floating candles in any of my Dollar Tree DIYs before, so excited to get to use those. I didn't even worry about the wrinkles on this jar. I just go ahead and do a layer of Mod Podge over the top of it, and then just to give this a little bit more of a finished look, I do use a little bit of the burlap ribbon to go around the top, and I just feel like it really kind of divides up the glass and the little decoupage piece and just makes it look better as a whole. So I go ahead and do the other one and then fill these up with water and add in the floating candle. I think these are gorgeous, would be a fun centerpiece, but also like really fun for like a bathroom, where anywhere that you would enjoy like the candles lit up to make it look really cozy and elegant. Next up, I wanted to make a hanger, so I'm using the back side of one of these MDF Valentine circular signs, and this looks really good. I'm doing kind of the same concept. I'm using that same green vine tissue paper to attach to the top and the bottom. But first I want to go ahead and get a nice blank coat on this so I can start from scratch. I let my white chalk paint dry completely and then add some Mod Podge to the top. You can measure this out if you're worried about it being 100% straight, but I knew this was just kind of going to be a backing, so I just eyeballed it. After I applied the tissue paper, I do brush over it with some Mod Podge and kind of soak the edges so that I can easily rub the excess away. I had this large wooden gather sign. It had an arrow attached to it, so I go ahead and cut it away, but I feel like it was the perfect color. It really shows up against the white and light green colors. And then I'm going to attach a hanger with some beads as well as a bow. I'm using some Dollar Tree ribbon. This came out of the plus section. It is a little bit more pricey, but I feel like it looks so much better than just the $1.25 tiny little ribbon. I like the little gold trimming on this, but you could skip that if you don't like it. I thought a little single bow kind of got lost on this and it was too small, so I tried to double it up, cut the little tails at an angle, glue down my gather sign, and I just absolutely love this pop of wood color off of the light pastel colors. Just think it's a really fun piece, perfect for spring. You could definitely dress this up for Easter, but just think it's a fun piece to kind of mix up all the square and rectangle signs that I make. These collage frames are one of my favorite things to grab. They have a nice black frame on them and you can pair them with pretty much anything. I have this large chunky family word. It actually came from Target Dollar Spot, but you could use any Dollar Tree word that you have. The point of this though is to share with you how to use the Mod Podge on just blank glass, and it really makes it really pretty. It's a little bit hard to show up on camera, but instead of just plain glass, it really makes it more of like a stained effect. You can add colors in Mod Podge if you barely add a dot of paint. For this, I'm just leaving it clear, but I want to go ahead and paint the word like a coordinating color to the frame so that it looks like it has a floating word on there. So this turned out really cute. You could spray paint this, but we have been having still chilly nights and my spray paint seems to not work right whenever it's really cold, and for whatever reason I just have to bring it back in and get it back up to room temperature, like the actual paint can itself, before it wants to work again. So let me know if that's a thing. I know it can be too cold to like let it dry correctly, but I didn't think that my paint can would like malfunction as much as it has in like the chilly night. So definitely something I need to do in warmer weather, I guess. But for this, I go ahead and let the family word dry, and then using the Mod Podge, you can dab your finger, but that seemed like it was taking quite a while, so I'm using one of these little small cosmetic sponges that I found at Dollar Tree and just dabbing this all over. I go ahead and do 2 coats of this, letting it completely dry in between, and you can just see that it gives it a really fun like matte effect rather than just having like the clear glass. I glue down my family word right in the middle, and this is a fun effect. Like I said, it's kind of hard to show up on camera, but you can kind of tell whenever I hold it up, just the detail in there, and it gives it like a fun frosted look. This is a project that I made in a previous glassware hack video, and I really loved it. I just used Mod Podge around the edges with some pressed flowers. I wanted to try something a little bit different today, kind of using the same concept, getting those flowers around the edges, but this time I want to pour the wax directly around the flowers and see how that works. So I go ahead and use Mod Podge. Now I have seen people in the past use a little bit of wax and put on the edges and then stick their pressed flowers on it, but I just didn't trust that 100% to go clear in front of my flowers. So I went ahead and put the Mod Podge and then just kind of pressed in these little flowers to the edges. You want the pretty side facing out, obviously, and this will dry clear, and then you can fill it full of candle wax. Now I usually pick up my pressed flowers from Amazon, Temu, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, anywhere that you want to, but just making sure that I do try to fill this in as much as possible to make it look really cute. I go ahead and place my wick down in place, holding it with a little paintbrush so it can make it stand in the middle. Poured in some wax. This took a couple of candles. It did cave in at the top. That's normal. I go ahead and fill it back in, but you can see how gorgeous that this looks after the candle had hardened or cooled off. It does like really show up the gorgeous color of the pressed flowers, especially against this white colored wax. I just love this. I think this would be an incredible gift idea in so many ways that you could customize this to fit your style. One of my first and favorite places to look is in the wall art section, or where they have these Dollar Tree canvases. It's just a perfect and easiest way to add those perfect pops of color and decor pieces on a budget, but also like the easiest. You're not having to do a lot of painting. You can dress these up and make them look a little bit more high-end so many different ways. I love this print. I feel like the vases or the containers the little flowers were in were so gorgeous. It's not really like too farmhouse. It has more of like those spring colors, and I just loved it so much, but it is a little bit flimsy, so I wanted to put it on a bigger sign and dress it up a little bit more. So I am using, out of the Dollar Tree Plus section, one of these $3 bigger wooden boards. I feel like it is so worth it to elevate this piece of artwork. And then I didn't want to paint it. I wanted to add in some extra texture just to make it look a little bit nicer. So I found actually in the Crafter's Square this like beige color fabric. So I'm Mod Podging it down in the back, and yes, I add a ton because I want it to have that hard effect after it dries. I'm cutting away any of the excess, and then I'm just having to glue my canvas right down on top. And you can see it just makes it not only a bigger piece, but it's going to be so much more sturdy and last longer, take up a bigger area on your shelf, so it's going to look nicer. And you could hang this on the wall, sit on an entryway table, or any shelving that you have. You could leave this as is. I love the natural frame look, but just to elevate this a little bit more and make it blend in, I am taking some mineral colored chalk paint, just slightly dry brushing over the edges. Where I cut my fabric too short, I filled that in with some of the same matching paint, but I just just love this so much more and makes it look like a nicer, larger piece. If you're not finding a ton of fabric at Dollar Tree that you love, definitely check out Walmart. I love looking in their fabric section. They have like a whole row of fat quarters, but also on like end caps, they have like neat seasonal fabric rolls already pre-cut that I love, love, love. So I found this little bunny pattern. I thought this would be perfect for springtime and Easter, obviously. So I decided to cut down a piece of cardboard to use as a pattern so I would know how wide I need this fabric to be. And then I'm going to add Mod Podge to attach this around the base of each candle. I had pink candles, but I decided to attach it to the purple ones just for a little bit of contrast. I didn't know if I wanted to Mod Podge it in the middle or the bottom. I decided to go to the bottom and then just glue a piece of ribbon around the top of piece of the fabric so you couldn't see where it was cut. But I feel like this is a super simple, easy project, but it adds those fun colors because I love bringing in all of the fun pastel colors when it gets closer to Easter. I actually found this tiny little gingham like pink and white ribbon from Hobby Lobby. They always put out like the best ribbon for each season, and this was actually on sale, so it was very comparable to the Dollar Tree one. You actually got more on the roll, so I love picking it up there. Just put this around the top, hot glued it down in place. You could add any charms or any of the wooden like laser cut pieces that Dollar Tree has. I'm sure they'll be putting out some of the tiny little Easter wood pieces that you could glue to the front, but I feel like these were really fun dressed up and just think they turned out really cute. I am using a planter from the thrift store just because it was bigger and nicer quality than what I could find at Dollar Tree, but I wanted to pair it with this fun little fabric pack that I did find in the Crafter's Square at Dollar Tree. I love that they're giving us like multiple designs of fabric in this same pack, and it's perfect for projects that are super simple like this one. I'm just going to be Mod Podging this piece of fabric around this planter, so I knew I wanted to paint it a coordinating color, so I decided to spray paint it black, but this was one of those like really cold icy days, and my spray paint wouldn't even dry right. It was like still tacky, so I ended up letting that completely dry and then painting it with some black chalk paint, letting that dry, and then going ahead and applying Mod Podge to the back of this fabric. While I'm not crazy about decorating with the farmhouse animals in my kitchen, I still feel like it was a really pretty design. It kind of reminded me of like a chalkboard design. I just thought it was really pretty. I loved all these little graphics with the eggs and things, so I decided to attach that all the way around. This was the perfect size strip. I didn't have to cut it down or anything. After I attached it, I covered the entire planter with a couple of layers of Mod Podge just to make sure it looked all sealed in. When this dries, I added in some greenery, a piece of styrofoam. I did pick up this greenery from Hobby Lobby. It was so high quality and just a really great price point, but you always can feel free to put in Dollar Tree greenery. They usually have a lot coming out as we go on into the year, but I feel like this turned out perfect. Put it together, very inexpensive, but this planter created the perfect pop of black, so it fits in more to like modern farmhouse, but loved how this turned out.